All right, so here we have a 2000 Chevy 1500. In previous videos, we did a condenser, an accumulator, and the orifice tube. We did, at the end of that, determine that we had a problem in the compressor with the cycling switch. So, we had charged it and the customer went on. They have come back. They want to take care of that compressor, just as peace of mind to get the system going. So now we have the vehicle returned. We just got it back from our buddies down at the local shop here that have evacuated the system. So we're going to go ahead and remove some of these shieldings here. Our AC compressor is on the bottom of the engine. So we'll go ahead and remove these two belly pans right here. All right, so here we have our compressor, and then we have our tensioner right here. This little fitting right here, this goes on the end of our 3/8 ratchet. So we'll rotate this to take the belt off. Woo! That wasn't good. Almost got my finger. I didn't have the tool all the way in the... Pretty greasy. All right, so we're loose. All right, so we're going to go over to the inner fender well. And we're going to go ahead and take the inner fender well off so we can access the compressor out the wheel well. All right, so now we're going to remove the inner fender well. We have a couple push pins we have to take care of to be able to remove this inner. So we'll go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go ahead and remove our wire, right? So then we can remove our inner well. All right, and here we have the compressor, the manifold line where it bolts up. All right, so now we're going to remove this bolt here. This will be our manifold line where we have both AC lines coming to the compressor. So we'll go ahead and remove this bolt. All right, so this is our manifold line. We'll just kind of put it right here. There's our two gaskets that we'll be replacing. So now we need to, we basically have 4 bolts mounting this compressor, 2 here and 2 on the bottom side. This is the electrical connector. We'll go ahead and unplug that, although that runs to the back. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom 2 bolts so the top ones hold the pressure the weight of the... All right, so I got the 2 bottom bolts out of the compressor. Now I'll go ahead and take the 2 top bolts. Well, actually, I pulled the rear bottom one out all the way, and the front bottom one is loose, undone, but still in the hole. I don't have enough room from the frame rail. Remove the bolts. You see the compressor is kind of dropped out of position a little bit. So we got the... So we're pretty much free. All right, so this right here, this connector, this is our high pressure, or this is our cycling cutoff switch. This was the one that we had the problem with. All right, so we should be undone. We'll go ahead and try to pull it out. All right, so our front bolt fell out. All right, so here we have our old compressor. So what we want to do here is, our new compressor comes with no oil in it. So the first thing we want to do is just see how much oil is in this compressor here. The system takes 8 ounces, so we're just going to see what we have in this compressor. All right, so we're not really getting anything out of this. It's not really a good sign. So we don't know. So basically what we were trying to do is, if we got less than 2 ounces out of this compressor, we would put 2 ounces in there. If we got more than 2 ounces, we would put this whatever we got back in. So we have nothing in here. This system says 8 ounces. We're gonna put, we're probably gonna go a little hefty on this one. We're definitely gonna put our 2 ounces in. We may put another 2 ounces in. The system says 8 ounces altogether. So, all right. So here we have our 2 compressors. So this vehicle setup has quite a few options for compressors. Some of the main points of the compressor would be 1 mounting bolt. So it's 1 mounting bolt to the flange. So you can see this is definitely changed here, the clutch design. Our main thing would be the diameter of the pulley. So it's 4.33. So they are both the same diameter. The plug is the same, just a little bit pigtail. So it is mounts up the same. Everything looks the same. We flip it to the back. This is the sensor. This is your cutoff switch. We have a new one we're going to be putting in. This one. This is most likely our original problem, or it is our original problem, but this is our original compressor. So we're upgrading to another compressor just because of the vehicle's age and make the system brand new again. So we'll go ahead and remove this plug. So we have a snap ring pliers. So that plug did kind of jump out, but just grab a little bit there. I was under some type of pressure there. Okay, so there's the plug. So we have an O-ring. Down in there is a supplied O-ring. We're going to go ahead and change it just for the sake of it. Our new snap ring, and then our pressure switch there. All right, so the next thing would be the oil. So, you know, we didn't get much oil out of this, or we got pretty much nothing out of it. So that would tell us, if we were doing a normal repair, that would tell us we need to add back 2 ounces of oil. This whole system is 8 ounces of fluid, which is a lot of fluid. But if we go back, since we do know the history of this vehicle, we did the accumulator. The accumulator was super heavy, so we know that it had a ton of oil, you know, saturated inside there. We put the new one on. We really didn't put much oil inside of that. So I guess some thought and theory would be that the oil that was in the compressor has now saturated or been absorbed into the accumulator. So that could explain where our oil went. We're going to get a little hefty, so we're definitely going to put our 2 ounces in because that's the starting point, but the system is 8. 8's a whole lot of oil. We're probably going to put a little over 4 ounces into this system, and we'll go from there. Considering we have still oil going around the system, so that's what we're going to go by. So once we pour our oil in, we're going to be turning the clutch to pull the oil down. All right. We're going to be adding our oil. We're in milliliters here, so you know, about 8 ounces of fluids, like 230 and some change milliliters of fluid. So we're going to do 2 of these vials filled up. Now the oil we have. We went down, we got this from our friends down the street with the shop that do the evacuation for us. This compressor takes PAG 150 oil. So this is PAG 150. 134 systems either take 150 or the 46. Most systems are 46. 150 is really a rare one. 150 is more used for retrofit, but for whatever reason, this compressor being a Delphi calls for 150, and they're very specific in the manual, so we're going to put PAG 150 in. So we're going to put a little over 100 milliliters in there. Sometimes the compressors are pretty hard to move right off the bat. All right, so it looks like we got pretty good fluid there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this back on just temporarily, just so we don't pour the oil back out as we are installing it. This will just kind of help us not make a mess. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this compressor in. This bolt here is one of the bolts I could not get out with the compressor where it needs to sit with the frame rail. So I'm going to have to put that bolt in so it's inside there while I slide that in. So we'll go ahead and that's going to be kind of interesting. How did we? All right, so once I get the compressor where I need it to be, I have another short bolt. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the back mount. All right. I'm going to slide my front one in. All right, so all four bolts are finger tight, or I shouldn't say that, are in just a couple threads. So now I know everything lines up. I'm gonna go ahead and snug my top two. The bottom two are pretty hard. I four-wheel drive, so the pitman arm, as sway bar, everything is right there. I'm using a, for those two bottom ones, I'm using a ratcheting wrench with very small strokes. All right, so now I got the bottom ones tight. I'll go ahead and tighten our top ones up. Okay. All right, so we do have our electrical connector somewhere around here. There we go. All right, so there's the one for the back. All right, so this one here, and the other one was plugged right onto the compressor. This one has a little pigtail. All right, so now we got our compressor mounted. We're going to go ahead and remove this cap. This cap was, to keep the oil in while we were putting the compressor in. So we got that. Here's our line we have strapped out of the way. We're going to put two gaskets on here and then go ahead and reinstall. Now my two gaskets I've already dropped in my oil, so they're nice. Always want to oil your O-rings. All right. Go down. Get our line down. Just want to make sure that our connector and all that, everything is good, nothing's getting pinched, because it is a little, relocated, redesigned. All right, so now we want to put the belt on. All right, so the belt, sometimes they're a little tricky and all that good stuff. What we're going to do, we're going to, am I in the way? Yeah. Oh, dude, it's all greasy down here. All right, I'm going to walk the belt back towards the compressor. All right, so I got to loop the compressor. All right, so I've looped the compressor. I just have the bottom there we go. So the bottom is my only side of the crank pulley that's not on. Right, so you want to make sure that you're lined up on all your pulleys, it's all on a straight path. All right, so now that we have our system all sealed up, we're going to put it under a vacuum to evacuate it, get out any moisture before we charge it. All right, so we have our valves closed. We're at 0. We're going to go ahead and turn the vacuum pump on. So we'll go ahead and start applying some vacuum. We're going to do high side and low side. All right, so we want to do just a quick little test to make sure that our connections are all good. There's no leak, so holding a vacuum will ensure that. So we get ourselves down pretty quick to 30 inches, and we'll go ahead and turn everything off. All right, so if we had a leak, we would be losing vacuum back to 0. So we're still holding our 30 inches. That tells us that our connection point down there is a total seal. So we'll go ahead and open it back up. So we're going to leave this on. The rule of thumb is 30 inches of vacuum for 30 minutes, and that will boil out all the moisture in the system. So we're just going to let that sit now before we recharge it.